Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast on the channel. We're going to get you all prepped up and ready to go for today's Kansas Speedway race, and most importantly, it is known as the Bushy McBush Race 400. Yes, here today. What was it, like a fan vote? They got to, I guess, they had a bunch of fans pile in what they thought the title sponsor should be for the race this weekend, and that's the one they ended up choosing, or maybe got the most votes. I don't know how they decided to do it, but one way or another, it is the Bushy McBush Race 400. But it has finally come. Dropping the green flags in less than an hour from now. I'm excited for the race. Hopefully you guys are too. We'll go through some last-minute fantasy analysis for today's race. Drivers that I'm going to spotlight that might not run well. Drivers that are maybe sleeper picks to contend for the win today, or at least have a very good run, and my overall predictions of who will compete for the win here today as the must-haves that you should have for your lineup, as well as mine and my eventual race win pick. So we usually start things off with the don't-haves for this podcast. Now, I don't really actually have anybody in specific for today's race that you shouldn't have, and the main reason is because I've looked at recent history in the last really 3 to 5 years, especially at the Kansas Speedway for the Cup races, both the spring and the fall races, and I'm not seeing anywhere where there is one specific driver that is going to run badly or is going to not be anywhere near the front, because it seems like at least everybody that you would think that could be an everyday driver to contend for the win on most bases running well. Top 10s, in some cases top 5s. You look at drivers like Chris Buescher, for instance. He's been running very well this year for Roush, especially in the mile and a half. He's still in the top 16 in points after Talladega, and he's had good runs here. Not so much with Roush last year at Kansas, but even 2 years ago when he was still racing in the 37 car for GTG Doherty Racing. So even looking at like some of the sleeper picks, there is at least some success there. If you had to stay away from drivers, Stewart-Haas is obviously still the risky pick, especially when we've considered they have struggled on the mile and a half tracks this season. They're a little bit better on the 750 tracks that we've kind of come to see, but with the 550 tracks, I'm definitely going to kind of pump the brakes on them a little bit. Now, I know Aric Almirola does have some success at this racetrack. He's actually scored 3 top 10s in the last 5 races here. It's just still risky considering how they are running today. Now, with that being said, I will still state that Aric Almirola's got a good chance to get a top 10 run here today. He is one of my sleeper picks, so I will say that Aric Almirola is going to get the job done. He will break through and get the top 10, but I don't highly recommend it for your fantasy lineups. And again, it's simply just because it is a very, very risky pick. So I've got Aric Almirola as the first sleeper pick, and again, not really anybody for the don't-haves. Even like Kyle Busch has had runs at this racetrack where he had a lot of bad luck, but once this 550 package came along in 2019, his luck has started to turn around at Kansas, especially in the spring race. So even him, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's going to be a don't-have. It's his birthday today as well, and it's the Bushy McBush Race 400, so maybe Kyle Busch will have that little extra luck on his side. I don't know. So I didn't want to throw him in the don't-haves either. There isn't enough of a sample size, I feel like, with some of the young guys like Tyler Reddick, who hasn't ran well this year, but RCR with Austin Dillon's ran well on the intermediate tracks. You would think that might end up rubbing off. You never know. So I would probably go that route with it. Another driver probably to stay away from, your typical Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, but for the most part, as long as you stay away from like the really, really young guys, I really do think you're going to have a good shot at having a pretty solid team here today. It's obviously going to be a little bit of luck. We've seen a lot of cautions conspire late in these Kansas races, so I would consider the fact that there's probably going to be more of that again here today. I doubt that we're going to not have those situations, especially with as many different winners as we've had so far this season as well. There could be a new driver contending for their first win again here today at Kansas. It has turned into almost like the super speedway, the intermediates, as far as how just wild and crazy it gets, especially, like I mentioned, the last couple of years, there's been a lot of late race yellows. Outside of last fall, I can't really remember a race where at Kansas where there hasn't been a lot of late race yellows, even before the 550 package In 2018, in the spring race, there was an instance with all those crashes at the end of the race too. So we'll wait and see how this race is going to play out. But that's kind of the idea that I'm thinking that it's going to play out, where it might be a lot of long green flag runs in the first two stages, but when it comes down to it, the last 50 laps, I think it's going to be whoever's going to have the best short run car in the track position at the end of the day to get the job done. And it's just so hard to pick against anybody to put on the don't haves list this week. So I don't think I've ever done that on the channel between last year's races and this year's now, but we'll just have to wait and see how that works. So into the sleeper picks, I already mentioned that Eric Almirola is one of the sleeper picks for today's race for me. The other sleeper pick is going to be Alex Bowman in the number 48. Bowman has 5 straight finishes inside the top 11 at Kansas, including 4 top 10s in that stretch. And Hendrick Motorsports as a whole has been dominant on the mile-and-a-half racetracks this season. William Byron won at Homestead. Kyle Larson won at Vegas. Kyle Larson dominated Atlanta, led the most laps before Blaney stole the win at the end. And those are the only 3 mile-and-a-halves we've had so far on the schedule. Bowman does have 1 win on the season, so you consider how is he a sleeper pick when he's got a win, he's locked into the playoffs. Well, he hasn't had the most consistent of runs this year. He does have 4 top 10 finishes and I believe 3 top 5s, but Bowman's just been inconsistent this year. In the 10 races we've had so far this season, he's still 13th in the point standing, so although he has that when he's locked in, he's just not been as consistent, so I'll consider him a sleeper. If he gets a second win or just starts to turn it on lately, I would definitely feel... I see the comment down in the chat, by the way. I'll talk about that maybe during the race later today. Not right now, but I wouldn't. I still don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be traded. I don't believe it till I see it, at least. But anyway, as far as the racing goes, again, Alex Bowman. I'm high on Hendrick Motorsports for today. I think all 4 cars are going to run particularly well. They've all had very good success at this racetrack, too. To go on top of the fact that they've been very good, I would not be surprised if a Hendrick Chevy goes to victory lane today. But I do expect Bowman to get a top 10. So my first 2 predictions today is that Eric Almirola and Alex Bowman will both get top 10 finishes. Also for Almirola, in the spring race last year, well, granted, I guess it was ran in the middle of the summer because of COVID, but still, in the first race at Kansas last year, he did finish 6th. Hendrick has been a lot better than Stewart-Haas Racing, and Stewart-Haas has just not been good in general, again, especially on the 550 tracks, but I think Almirola could prevail and get a top 10 today, and I do think Bowman will get a top 10. He's definitely going to be on my fantasy team. Another driver who's going to be on my fantasy team today will be his teammate William Byron. William Byron has been very under the radar, but very, very good this season. His Kansas success looks like this. He's got 3 straight top 10s at Kansas, with a 6th place finish last year in the fall, an 8th place finish in the first race at Kansas in the summer race last year, and then he finished 10th as well in the playoff race at Kansas in 2019, so 3 straight top 10s there. He's got 8 straight top 10s total coming into this race today this season. He's actually tied for the most top 10s this year, and he's currently sitting 4th in the point standing. So I mentioned in the Power Rankings video earlier in the week that William Byron, if the Championship 4 started today, would be my 4th driver currently in the Championship 4, and I think he's living up to that. I think he's going to have a great day today. I think he'll keep that top 10 streak alive and make it 9 straight top 10s. And depending on how Denny Hamlin does, William Byron could be the leading. He's tied for the lead right now at the most top 10s. He could be the sole leader in top 10s this season at the end of today's race. I think Hamlin's going to run well, but again, we'll see. It's been very, very interesting as of late. Hope Chase Boy wins today. Chase is going to have a good shot. Hendrick Motorsports, like I mentioned, they're going to have a very, very good run. I think all throughout the organization. I would not be surprised if all 4 of those cars honestly run inside the top 10 all day. Chase has been, I think of the 550 tracks we've had so far this season. Again, we haven't had a lot, and it's been a little bit since then. But it seemed like Chase Elliott was the worst of the 4 Hendrick cars during those races. So I'd honestly say that I have a little less hope for Chase, but you look at the stats he's had at this racetrack, he's got 4 top 5 finishes in the last 7 races here with a win in the fall race in 2019. So I just feel like, second place rather. He won fall 2018 at Kansas, my bad. Second place fall 2019. So he seems to do a little bit better in the fall there. But I think he'll have a good run. He might contend for the win, but that team, compared to the other Hendrick Motorsport teams, it's just been a little bit off on the mile and a halves, and really just the 550 tracks as a whole compared to his teammates. But I do think Chase could definitely contend for a top 10 today, but I'm not going to have him as a must-have simply for that reason, even though he's got the recent success to back it up. So, 3 drivers so far that I think will get top 10s: William Byron, Alex Bowman, and Eric Almirola. Next driver on the must-have is another Stewart-Haas driver, Kevin Harvick. Again, I haven't been high on Stewart-Haas this year, nor should I be, but Kevin Harvick has had a great season so far. He's finished inside the top 10, 8 or 9 times this season? Let me double-check that. I know he's got 8 top 10s. He might have 9, honestly. No, he doesn't have 8. Never mind, because Byron and Hamlin are tied in top 10s currently. Does anybody know why my NASCAR mobile app isn't working? Of course, you guys wouldn't know why, but NASCAR mobile, what are you doing? That's not good if you haven't set your fantasy lineups in. Is anybody else having troubles trying to get into the NASCAR mobile app? Might just have to go on the website, honestly, at this point. NASCAR. Well, the website's working fine. Standings. There we go. Let's see. Kevin Harvick is 7th in points, so yeah, he's still having a good season, being 7th, even though he doesn't have a win. Outside of Denny Hamlin, he's highest in points without a win so far this year, and he's got 7 top 10s, so he's got the 3rd most top 10s this season. He's consistently there, he's just not competing for the wins, and his Kansas stats are really good, especially in recent years. For Kevin Harvick, coming into this Kansas race today, has finished 8 of the last 10 races inside the top 10 at Kansas. 9 top 5s for Kevin Harvick at Kansas in the last 15 races there. Very high percentage. Almost 2/3 of the time he finishes in the top 5, and he has 2 wins at Kansas, both in the last 10 years, 2013 and 2016. He was able to win at Kansas. That 2016 race was the spring race. So I've got Kevin Harvick finishing in the top 10 along with his teammate Almirola, and then at least 2 of the Hendrick cars of Byron and Bowman that will finish in the top 10 today. And the last of the must-haves is Martin Truex Jr. Truex has probably been the best driver so far this season for JGR outside of Denny Hamlin. It's a very toss-up, honestly, between the two. I'd say Truex has been the hotter driver of the two, considering Hamlin hasn't gotten that win yet, but Hamlin, from start to finish this year, has been more consistent than Truex. Truex does have 7 top 10s at Kansas in the last 8 starts. He has 2 wins at the Speedway, as well as Kevin Harvick. His 2 wins both came in 2017. He got the sweep all the way around there at Kansas. 5 top 5s in the last 8 races as well for Truex, including 4 of those finishes inside the top 3. He finished 3rd here in the first race last season, and then in the fall race last year he finished 6th. So I do think Martin Truex Jr. is not only going to have a top 10, he is going to have a very good chance to win. I say Martin Truex Jr. gets a top 5 finish today. And those other 4 that I stated will at least get a top 10. But as far as my race win pick goes, the driver who I think is going to win the race today is going to be none other. I'm going out on the limb just a little bit, but his Kansas stats have been good. It is going to be William Byron. Yes, that's right. William Byron is going to be my pick to win today's race. I am 0 for 10 in predicting the winner so far this season. I have to get one right. Keegan got a ponytail. Looks cool. I do not have a ponytail. It's a mullet, but it just looks bad because I was outside. We got like 20 plus mile an hour winds, so it's a little messed up. But don't worry about that right now. But anyway, which Hendrick car struggles today? From Andrew Yu. Welcome to the stream as well. I don't think any of the Hendrick cars are going to struggle today. If I had to pick one, I'd say Chase, but I don't think any of them are going to. I think that all four of them have a very good shot at running inside the top 10. Hendrick's just been too strong on the mile and a halfs overall. But if I had to pick one of those guys to not finish in the top 10, I'd say Chase Elliott. But, yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody. Yeah, any other fantasy advice? Oh, what about your Blaney? I think Blaney's going to have a good run today. I don't know. Blaney's been inconsistent at Kansas. He's had some really good runs, and he's had some poor runs. He's finished in the top 10 3 times in the last 6. That's all right. But when he hasn't finished in the top 10, he's been finishing outside the top 15 and just not running well. The one plus side is that this package, I feel like, helps him. Because we saw last year, especially at the end of the year, and he finished 7th at Kansas in the playoff race last season, after he was eliminated from the playoffs, too. So that didn't derail the team's speed on the mile and a halves. I do think Ryan Blaney will get a top 10 today. He's finished in the top 11 in 7 straight races. So he has been one of the hottest drivers on the circuit to win in that stretch at Atlanta. The last mile and a half, he got the win. I don't think he's going to win today. I do think if he runs in the top 10, just keeps that momentum building, it's only going to lead to greater and greater things. But he could contend. The Penske cars have shown speed here in the past. But Keselowski hasn't been consistent enough for me to put him in the must-haves today or put him in my fantasy lineup at all. I think he could contend for the win. He did win here in 2019 in the spring. And Logano just won here in the fall last year. But I don't know. Something about me just doesn't want to put a Penske car in my lineup today. But I do think they're going to run well. And that leads into why I didn't have anybody on the don't-haves, because simply I just don't. It's hard to pick for me that guy's just not going to have a good day today, because looking at their stats, nobody's really got bad stats at Kansas. They're all average to good, both in recent success and just career success at this racetrack. Ashton G, welcome to the stream. Patrick Shatterley, welcome as well. Race sponsorship for this year is hilarious. The Bushy McBush 400. Is it the Bushy McBush race, or is it the Bushy McBush 400? I call it the Bushy McBush race. I gotta see this. Yeah, it's the Bushy McBush race 400. Classic. An instant classic right there, just the name alone. As if you wouldn't take NASCAR serious enough at times. This just adds on to it. But yeah, welcome to the stream, and we will be live streaming the actual race on the channel. I'll end this stream and just start right into that before the green flag drops today. Let's see what the drop of the green flag time is. So a quicker episode of the podcast today, but it was a lot of the reason because I didn't have any don't-haves. And I spent so much time this morning researching and trying to figure out, drivers that I could put as the don't-haves, and I just don't feel confident putting anybody in the don't-haves. I'm not completely sold on Keselowski, but he ran good on the mile and a half this year. Even though he's struggling, and he's coming in off a win, so... Man, even Christopher Bell had a top 10 with the top 10 in the fall race last year. Logano won. Harvick, Bowman finished 3rd. That's why I'm high on Bowman for today. He finished 2nd in 2019 here, too. So I really think Bowman's going to have a good day. That's why I think he's going to have at least a top 10. Kyle Busch, like I mentioned, has struggled at Kansas, but he still finished top 5 last season in the fall. Finished 5th. Chase Elliott, he's been the weakest of the Hendrick guys on the mile and a half this year, but his success has been awesome at this racetrack. 6th last season. In the fall race, Blaney, despite not being in the playoffs last year, as well as Byron. Again, Byron, 3 straight top 10s. I'm high on him today. He's my pick to win. I just need to predict a race right now, and I'm kind of getting desperate. That's why I'm picking Byron. Hamlin finished 15th. But he led 58 laps, so it's like... And he won a stage, so I don't want to say he's on the don't haves because he ran well. He just didn't finish well. Elliott also won a stage last season here, too. Matt DiBenedetto finished 12th and scored stage points. I mean, that's not bad. The first Kansas race last season, Hamlin won. So, again, that's why I don't want to put Hamlin down there. Keselowski second. I mean, even Eric Jones had a top 5. Almirola sixth. Cole Custer, rookie last season, finished 7th here. Bowman had that top 10 again. Even Kurt Busch is in the top 10 again. Byron had a top 10. I'm just not sold on anybody just completely stinking it up today. It could be a wreck fest late. Again, we've seen a lot of cautions late in these Kansas races. The bushity, let's go bushing, boys and girls. 400. There we go. That should be the title name. Yeah, if Darrell Waltrip was still in the commentating booth for Fox today for the race, that would definitely be how he'd start. He'd say bushity, let's go race instead of boogity. Well, he might say boogity still, but I might need to do that for the start of the race. I don't know. Oh, man. I'm getting excited, though. We're very, very close to the drop of the green flag. I can't tell what the drop of the green flag is. There we go. Now the NASCAR mobile app's working. The first couple times I tried to log into it, it wasn't working for some reason. Better work. Drop of the green flag is scheduled for 3:13. So we'll end this stream here in a couple minutes. Yeah, but any last fantasy advice questions, get them in now because you have to have your lineups in 10 minutes. Also, I want to state for fantasy, so when I was at Talladega last week and Logano crashed, I had Logano on my fantasy team, and I was trying to take him out, but the Wi-Fi, which I knew going in, just absolutely stunk at Talladega, and I knew that last fall it wasn't that great either. So when I was trying to update my fantasy team, I couldn't take Logano out of my garage even though I wanted to. And I was sitting there for so long. And then I actually got it to upload, and I thought I did it. And I remember swapping him out, and it just... the Wi-Fi was probably just so... Or the internet in general. I wasn't connected to Wi-Fi, but the internet in general was so bad there that it didn't even save. So Logano was still in my lineup, and I had Chris Buescher in my garage. And Buescher had a solid day. So I left 24 points on my garage, even though I had meant to put Buescher in for Logano because Logano flipped in stage 1. So just putting it out there, I should have an extra 24 points in the fantasy standings. I should be tied for 4th. I'm 5th. But we'll see. We'll see if Patrick can hold on to that lead today, too. Patrick Shadley is winning. Again, you can join in the fantasy league, searching KRC League in both the the NASCAR app or the website. Go to fantasy, sign up with email if you're not signed up already. Join the league because if you win the season championship, both in the regular season or the playoffs, I will buy you 2 tickets to any NASCAR event of your choosing for next season, outside of the Daytona 500. So register to win. For the contest, currently Patrick Shadley is leading, or P-Shat Motorsports in the league. I feel very confident about my team today. It's a little risky at the same time, but I do feel very confident about it. What do you think is going to happen to Bubba Wallace next year if he can't pull it together? Again, it's the first year of the new team. He will have to pull it together at some point this year. I'm not saying he's got to go out and win. I don't think I predicted before the season started, I didn't think that Bubba Wallace was going to win anyway. So I still am going to put down on it that I don't think he's going to win this season. But I did say he was going to point his way into the playoffs, and he's sitting 19th right now in points. So, I mean, it's not like he's that far behind the cutoff line. I quit because I'm bad. You shouldn't quit, though. Even if you don't win the regular season standings, I mean, you got a shot. You got a shot at the playoffs. We haven't even started the playoffs yet. You get another shot to win there. Just highly recommend joining. Because you never know. Alright, I think I'm going to wrap this stream up, guys. Get the next stream all ready to go by the time the race starts, and we'll be broadcasting the race live here on the channel. The race is on Fox Sports 1 if you are available to watch it, but if you want to come and listen to my commentary throughout the course of the race, you more than very well can. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys here in a little bit. Drop the green flag in less than 15 minutes at the Kansas Speedway.